Coming up on Locked On Now NBA, the favorites pretty much won across the board in the association last night, but that just means that the biggest stars were doing their things for the best teams. We'll give you a full recap of last night's games right here on Locked On Now NBA.
The biggest games, the best performances, expert analysis. You are Locked On Now.
What's up, everybody? You are listening to Locked On Now NBA, local experts on the biggest stories on the hardwood. I'm your host, Daniella Bruce, and thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. Our Locked On NBA hosts are here to help break down everything from Sunday night. Steph Curry got a technical in LA, but it didn't keep Golden State from getting its 18th win in its first 20 games of the season, in our biggest game of the night.
The biggest game.
The Los Angeles Clippers hosted the Golden State Warriors on Sunday and ended up falling victim to a late hot streak from Steph Curry. After Curry took a tech early in the game, he helped the Warriors pull away, but Locked On Clippers says LA beat itself just as much by giving the ball away.
What's going on, Clips fans? Chuck Mockler here, one half of the hosting duo over at Locked On Clippers, coming at you after a turnover-filled loss to the Warriors at Staples. Paul George had 30 points. He also had 8 turnovers. The Clippers as a whole had over 20. Just not a good game intensity-wise. Reggie Jackson ended with 0 points, which I cannot remember the last time that happened when he played a full game, but it was very much not ideal today. Steph Curry got hot after picking up a tech. The defense very much kept the Clippers in this one, but the offense just isn't there. There needs to be more aggression from everybody other than Paul George for the most part. It's on to the Pelicans tomorrow, and hoping we can get back in that win column.
At least one LA team won in the Staples Center yesterday. The Los Angeles Lakers pulled back to an even 11-11 on the season with a win at home against the Detroit Pistons, and the usual suspects starred, as Locked On Lakers tells you.
This is Andy Kamenetsky, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers pull out a 110-106 win over the Detroit Pistons. The big three combined for 82 points on 32 of 51 shooting. The Lakers played a very good third quarter, broke open a lead that got up to 19 points, but as has been the case this season, no lead is ever safe. But bottom line, the Lakers hung on, closed out. They're now at 11-11. Also, LeBron played all of the backup center minutes available as a small ball 5. No run for Dwight Howard. Frank Vogel pleasing the crowd that way, and said after the game that it is something they're going to be looking at, and when they go to that look, either DeAndre Jordan or Dwight Howard will most likely not play in those games. A lot more to get into, so make sure you are subscribing to the Locked On Lakers YouTube channel and making Locked On Lakers your first listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Detroit put together a strong comeback effort, but fell short to the star-studded Lakers lineup on Sunday. Our Locked On Pistons host breaks down the loss.
What's the deal? Host of the Locked On Pistons podcast here. The Pistons lose another one tonight against the Los Angeles Lakers. Had a real late start. I'm really tired. I'm sure a lot of you guys are tired. But the Pistons ended up losing this game only by 4 points by the score of 110-106. Really had a lot to do with the third quarter where the Pistons were outscored 32-22. They just came out really flat. LA really extended that lead in the third quarter, but the Pistons did make a good effort in the fourth quarter to try and make it a close game. But Jeremy Grant, he had a really good game, had 32 points. Trey Lyles, you can't say much negative about him tonight. He actually played really well tonight. He had 13 points off the bench for him, shot 3 or 4 from deep. Killian Hayes returned tonight as well. Cade Cunningham started to get it going a little bit in the second half. He finished with 15 points and 11 rebounds. He's still struggling a little bit with turnovers. That's something he has to cut down on. But in the rematch between Isaiah Stewart and LeBron James in LA today, the Pistons falls just short. We'll talk about everything that happened within this game and something that we may have to look forward to lineup-wise moving forward with the Pistons as well on tomorrow's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
Coming up next on Locked On Now, Giannis goes off for Milwaukee and Memphis wins big without its superstar. It's football season, everybody, and nothing goes better with football than betting. BetOnline has you covered all holiday season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all sports action. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus. You can use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, and even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all of your favorite sports. Welcome back to Locked On Now NBA. I'm your host, Daniella Bruce. Giannis Antetokounmpo put together another dominant, efficient performance, which led to another Bucks win in Indiana and our best performance.
The best performance.
Hold up.
The Pacers lost big to the Bucks last night in a game Milwaukee pulled away in before the fourth quarter. As expected, Giannis came up big with 26 points and 13 rebounds. And our Locked On Pacers host says it was more of the same as Milwaukee has dominated this matchup as of late.
Pacers get annihilated by the Bucks at home, 118-100. And honestly, from a Pacers perspective, there's not a ton to say about this game. I'm Tony East, the host of Locked On Pacers, and this has been every Bucks-Pacers game for several seasons now. Basically, since Thaddeus Young left the Pacers, they have not had a good defensive answer for Giannis Antetokounmpo, and that remained the case tonight. Giannis had a very, very easy 26 points and 13 rebounds to guide the Bucks to an easy win. The Bucks shot terrible from three and were still able to shoot well over 50% as they coasted inside the arc, got whatever shots they wanted. And the Pacers, for their part, got good performances from Karis LeVert and Malcolm Brogdon, who combined for nearly 40, but Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner combined for 6 points. Their two starting frontcourt players combined for 6 points. That will never get it done, especially against the reigning champs like the Bucks. So Pacers never have played well against this Bucks team. It's not surprising to see them lose, but the way it happened was very perplexing, and I'll break it all down on tomorrow's Locked On Pacers podcast.
Let's go around the league.
No Ja Morant? No problem. At least for one game, the Grizzlies did not need their star as Memphis rolled over the Sacramento Kings on Sunday. Our Locked On Grizzlies host tells us what worked so well without one of the league's best scorers so far this season.
So stop me if you've heard this before when it comes to the Memphis Grizzlies this year. It's a game on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and the result of the Grizzlies game ends with a 30-point win for a team. Well, thankfully, you haven't stopped me yet, because this time it's the Memphis Grizzlies who earned the blowout win instead of being blown out themselves. Sean Coleman here with the Locked On Grizzlies podcast. In their first game without Ja Morant after his injury on Friday night, the Memphis Grizzlies respond by both arguably having the best offensive half of the season for themselves, while also having the best defensive half of the season for themselves so far this year. A 76-52 halftime lead. The Grizzlies had 20 assists, were 24 of 35 on 2-point shots, did a great job of passing the basketball and taking care of the basketball while also defending against the Sacramento Kings. It's only the second time the Grizzlies have allowed 52 points or less in a first half this season. Everybody was contributing. Desmond Bane had another great performance. Dylan Brooks found a lot of success, both getting to the rim and balancing out with good three-point shots, though many didn't fall. The Grizzlies were able to find the passes that they needed to. They were able to consistently find the best shots possible on offensive possessions, and they were able to also get into the paint and to produce while also doing very well defending the three. This and much more on a needed and big win for the Grizzlies as they head into a pretty hard late November schedule going into December. This and much more on the post-game edition of the Locked On Grizzlies podcast.
And that's a wrap for us today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Now your first listen every day. For more on the association and your favorite team, make your second listens Locked On Now NBA and your team's local Locked On podcast. I'm Daniella Bruce, and this has been Locked On Now.